Jamie Newman opts out at Georgia. That was the big news yesterday. We're not going to waste a whole lot of time reacting to necessarily Jamie Newman here. I will just quickly, my rapid reaction, I was surprised by it. Very surprised in the moment. Now, if you zoom out a little bit, it's not the craziest thing in the world to see a guy who has NFL aspirations, and there are wild swings in how people mock draft him. Some people would say he's a fringe first rounder. Some people would say he's like a day 2, day 3 guy. So a professional scout, I am not. He plans on playing Sunday football. And so you got a school of thought out there that said he got himself in that competition with JT Daniels, saw that he was not going to be the slam dunk starter there, and understood the risk reward of following through and the risk being potentially being overtaken, which totally plummets your draft stock. And so whether that was the train of thought or not, that's one of the conclusions people jump to. The other is the statement that Jamie Newman made, which was, I'm concerned about COVID-19, so I'm opting out. I don't have any information to the contrary, so I'm not going to be the one who sits there and disputes that. I don't care anymore, is the point. We already know Jamie Newman's not playing for Georgia. So let's talk about the guys who are playing for Georgia, and let's talk about what it means for them and also what it means for the SEC East. I'd be mad. I'll just be honest with you here. You got every right to opt out. I have no problem with that. But just as you have a right to opt out, I got a right to be grade A pissed off if I'm in that locker room or if I'm a coach and you just took half of a camp's worth of first-team reps at the quarterback position when we're trying to install a new offense with a new offensive coordinator, and then you decide to walk out the door. I got every right to be mad at that if I'm in that locker room. So I'd be mad at it, and I think a lot of folks at Georgia are mad about it, but you can't worry about it now. I mean, I'm sitting here telling you, sitting behind a microphone, it's time to move on. I hope you've already moved on if you're a player or a coach at Georgia. So what does it mean for them? Well, what it means first is just what I said. There's a lot of complexity for obvious reasons this year for a normal football team, if you return all your coordinators and whatnot. But you got a new quarterback, regardless of who it was going to be. You got a new coordinator, and you have no spring, and that creates the obvious struggles and obstacles in your way that we've been talking about for quite a while. JT Daniels transfers in. As sure as, Colin, remember it, as sure as we sat here 2 months ago when he transferred in, and we did a whole segment on our inbox being full of Georgia fans saying this is a bad move. We already got a quarterback. This will only upset the quarterback room. How do you feel now? And if you come to me and you say, well, maybe Newman opted out because we took Daniels, point still remains. If that's all it took to run a guy off, you didn't have the right guy to begin with. And if Daniels was unrelated to the reasons why Newman left, then our point remains too. So I think we win on that one. Now, you have a former 5-star guy, 5-star potential. He is not cleared medically to take contact right now. Everybody in Athens believes he will be cleared by week 1 at Arkansas. So what do we have? We got JT Daniels there, who I would suggest is the front runner, obviously the leader in the clubhouse here, to be the starting quarterback for Georgia when the season finally arrives. D'Wan Mathis is a guy everyone at Georgia loves. This is a guy who has overcome a whole lot. I don't have time to chronicle his journey. If you don't know about it, Google D'Wan Mathis after the show goes off the air. I think that he is giving a spirited competition up there right now and will be given a chance to win this job. And I think a lot of people are rooting for him for obvious reasons. However, behind him, Stetson Bennett is probably, I think he's the only other guy up there besides JT Daniels who has taken snaps. He's probably not the option you go with, and Carson Beck just got in town like 15 minutes ago, so he's probably not a guy who's going to be ready this year. My biggest concern about this is, number one, Georgia was going to be able to do a lot. Georgia was going to be able to present a lot of challenges because Georgia had 2 starting caliber quarterbacks, really. Kind of in the way that Alabama had with Tua and Jalen Hurts. I'm not saying in terms of talent they're totally comparable, but in terms of dynamic, it was comparable. So now you take away that element. You take away a ton of first-team reps that were, let's call it like it is, wasted on Jamie Newman. And now you're trying to get a guy who is rehabbing himself from injury last year into a new offense on a truncated timetable against a schedule that's front-loaded. The meat of Georgia's schedule is not in November. The meat of their schedule is Week 2 against Auburn, Week 3 against Tennessee, Week 4 against Alabama, Week 5 against Kentucky. They got Florida a couple of weeks later. That's it. I mean, that's not it literally, but that is really, in terms of games that are losable for Georgia, that they have any business struggling in, let me say it like that, that's it. you don't have a month and a half to get up to cruising altitude offensively, is my point. And let me tell you, when JT Daniels transferred to Georgia, I had someone very respected in the, let's just call it the football industry, shall we? Someone very respected reached out to me and said, let me tell you what the biggest concern is internally about JT Daniels. He is a guy with elite tools, but he is not a guy who is near his ceiling in terms of potential yet. And a lot of people don't believe Georgia's the place to get him there. That's not my feedback. That's the feedback that I got from someone. So I understand the sentiment there because Georgia has not exactly under Kirby Smart to this point. And you're really looking at Jake Fromm. I mean, that's what you're looking at. Jake Fromm was a guy who in 2017 was pressed into action. And right or wrong, people look at that situation and say, he didn't get really a whole lot better from 2017. Okay, I mean, that's one case study. So, I mean, if we're going to extrapolate that out, and that's how every quarterback under Kirby Smart, even with a new offensive coordinator, is going to be, then okay. I'm kind of in the remains to be seen category on that. But this hurts Georgia. I don't think there's any question about that. And by default, anything that hurts Georgia helps Florida. Anything that hurts Georgia helps Tennessee. That front-loaded schedule is such that probably one of the crazier things that could happen in the SEC East this year would be Tennessee beating Georgia in week 3. I think it's week 3. How crazy is it? So you got Auburn in there week 2. And that's a game where always competitive, always a knockdown, drag-out knife fight. And then between the times you play Auburn and the times you play Alabama, that's when Tennessee rolls into town. And Tennessee will be one of the most physical teams in America this year. I fully believe that. They got to be to maximize their potential. And so I really think about that, and I really think about what Jeremy Pruitt's able to do defensively. And they got adequate personnel this year. And I try and envision, this is where I'm having trouble with Georgia. They are asking us at 24/7. I mean, it is past the deadline to turn in our SEC championship game picks, and I still don't know what I'm doing in the East. Still don't. And I probably need to arrive at a conclusion pretty quickly. But that's how torn I am on that. And the reason I'm torn is because I'm trying to envision what that offense looks like with Georgia, and it's tough. It's really tough. And if anyone out there tells you they have a definitive idea, you don't even know definitively who's starting at quarterback. And if you thought so 24 hours ago, then you've had to hit the reset button. So for that reason, I think it's more than fair to talk about hitting the reset button here. And with every day that passes, and with every day that I get more confident in, for example, Florida's run game, and every day I get more confident in Tennessee's offensive line, and just facets of these teams, and then I look up there in Athens and I say, well, a lot of my encouragement around you was attached to Jamie Newman at quarterback, and he's not there anymore. It doesn't push Georgia, down the Plinko chart any, but it certainly turns that into an anyone's ball game sort of deal in the SEC East again. So we got predictions coming very soon in the East, so I got to nail myself down one way or the other.